and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning, afternoon. Let's welcome in January 2nd, 2021, man. So, hope our year is starting off well. I took some time for myself last night and played video games half the night. So, I've been able to do that in a long time. It felt kind of nice just do nothing. Get away for a little while. So, MSNBC is coming out. It came out or coming out, whatever. It doesn't matter. And they say it's called the Forgotten Epidemic. And you could imagine how I think about that. They forgot. They literally. Hey, did you guys remember we were going through that epidemic? Oh my God, I forgot. Oh my gosh. Does that show you how much these people actually care about you? The forgotten. Happy Saturday. Good to see you, Brenda. How could we forget? How in the fuck can we forget that there's people dying on our streets? Forgotten epidemic. Okay. They don't want it to get better, guys. The news does not want it to get better. They are not your friends. The government is not our friends. I mean, okay. When Mr. Biden gets into office, you watch. He ain't gonna do shit. Okay. Should he? I don't know that is it his responsibility? No, I don't think it is. I think it's our responsibility. I think this is a community problem. I think the government needs to stay the fuck out of it. I think MSNBC should just shut their fucking mouth and go on their merry little way or talk to somebody. I've seen a couple interviews with people from here. It was more of a look what I could do. Look, I'm on television, and they didn't get it across. So they forgot. Well, I can say anything else about it. Okay. Except I will continue to say this. The government does not belong in recovery, period, at all. We cannot follow their freaking rules. It will not work. Actually, let's rephrase that. It's not working. It's working so well, they forgot. All right. Let's get to today's reflection because I don't want to sit on that. So, all right. First, the foundation. Is sobriety all that we can expect of a spiritual awakening? No, sobriety is only a bare beginning. And that is as Bill sees it, page 8. Give me 1 second here, guys. Little hit kick me up. All right. Is sobriety all that we are to expect of a spiritual awakening? No, sobriety is only a bare beginning. Okay. You guys hear me talk about the difference between sobriety and recovery, and this is partly it. It's only the first gift of the first awakening. If more gifts are received, our awakening has to go on. As it does go on, we find that bit by bit we can discard the old life, the one that did not work, for a new life that can and does work under any conditions whatsoever. All right. So we're not going to be making these changes quickly, guys. It's going to come over a short period. It's going to happen over a period of time. And that time cannot be determined because God didn't create time either, and he doesn't do it. I'm just making up more ones for Brenda to steal. I don't think that one was very good. regardless of worldly success or failure, regardless of pain or joy, regardless of sickness or health, or even of death itself, a new life of endless possibilities can be lived if we are willing to continue our awakening through the practice of the AA's 12 steps. So this most certainly is a process. And thankfully, we had enough people that were willing to sit down. We had 100 people that were willing to sit down with other people and figure out how to write a book that you and I could understand. It had to be put into layman's terms. It had to be put into terms that you and I get. So I'm going to read out Bill's story today. Why not, right? It's all about Bill today. Why not? The guy kind of did do a few things for us. Despite the living example of my friend, there remained in me the vestiges of my old prejudice. I always get names mixed up, so I'm not even going to do it. I always get it mixed. Yeah, Ebby. All right, somebody will correct me on it. So the word God still aroused a certain antipathy. When the thought was expressed that there might be a God personal to me, this feeling was intensified. I didn't like the idea. I could go for such conceptions as creative intelligence, universal mind, or spirit of nature, but I resist the thought of Caesar of the heavens. However loving his sway might be, I have since talked with scores of men who felt the same way. My friend suggested what then seemed a novel idea. He said, "Why don't you choose your own conception of God?" That statement hit me hard. It melted the icy intellectual mountain in whose shadow I had lived and shivered many years. I stood in the sunlight at last. It was only a matter of being willing to believe in a power greater than myself. Nothing more was required of me to make my beginning. I saw that growth could start from that point, upon a foundation of complete willingness. I might build what I saw in my friend. Would I have it? Of course I would. And so that was Bill taking step one, going into step two. Thus, I was convinced that God is concerned with us humans, and when we want Him enough, there is a difference between wanting and needing something. We don't have time for me to get into that. At long last, I felt, believed. Scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes. A new world came into view. Now, I think this happened so suddenly for him like this because Bill had been trying very, very hard to get sober and stay sober. So his intentions were headed that way. The real significance of my experience in the cathedral burst upon me. For a brief moment, I had needed and wanted God. There had been a humble willingness to have Him with me, and He came. But soon the sense of His presence had been blotted out by worldly clamors, most of those within myself, and so had ever been since. How blind I had been. At the hospital, I was separated from alcohol for the last time. It's the first thing we need to do, right? Be separated from alcohol. Treatment seemed wise, for I showed signs of DTs, delirium tremens. There I humbly offered myself to God, as then I understood Him to do with me as He would. He's doing the third step here. I placed myself unreservedly in His care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, that without Him I was lost. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my newfound friend take them away root and branch. I have not had a drink since. You know what? If Bill can do it, guys, we can do it. As smart as we think we are, Bill was a fucking genius, man. He was, which stood in his way. And he certainly would not take any accountability for any of this. So my schoolmate visited me, and I fully acquainted him with my problems, deficiencies. We made a list. I'll just read a couple more paragraphs here. We made a list of people I had hurt or toward who I have felt resentment. We're doing fourth and fifth step here. I expressed my willingness to approach these individuals, admitted my wrong. Never was I to be critical of them. I was to write all such matters to the utmost of my ability. This is the ninth step that he's doing. Okay, now keep in mind, the book isn't out yet. So he doesn't necessarily, he realizes that he's doing a set of steps, but he's doing the Oxford steps, I believe. I was to, never was I to be critical of them. I was to write all such matters to the utmost of my ability. I was to test my thinking by a new God consciousness within. Common sense thus would become uncommon sense. I was to sit quietly when in doubt, asking only for direction straight to meet my problems as he would have me. Never was I to pray for myself except as my request bore on my usefulness to others. Then only might I expect to receive, but that would be in great measure. The only thing that I pray for myself is to keep me clean and sober. It's the only thing I ask for myself. My friend promised him. Okay, these are pinky swears, guys. In our day and age, these are serious pinky swears. My friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I would have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. Belief in a power of God plus willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Simple but not easy. A price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn over in all things to the Father of Light who presides over us all. I think I did. I must turn in all things to the Father of Light who presides over us all. One more paragraph, because it's kind of cool. These were revolutionary, drastic proposals, but the moment I fully accepted, the effect was electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. There was a sense of victory followed by such a peace and serenity as I have ever known. There was utter confidence. I felt lifted up, as though the great clean wind of the mountain blew through and through. God comes to most men gradually, but his impact on me was sudden and profound. Thank you, God, for doing that for him. Practicing the AA program is like building a house. You hear it all the time. You hear about our foundation, okay? Step before the step. Step 1 and 2, those are your foundation steps, okay? Number 3 is going to be a cornerstone step. It's good. You got to have a good cornerstone, right? So you have to build a good foundation. You hear me say this all the time. 1, 2, and 3 every day. Every day, that's your foundation. So that way you have something to rely upon 24 hours a day. Okay? And his name is God, or whatever you choose to call him or it. I don't care. It's like building a house. First, I had to pour a big, thick concrete slab on which to erect a house. That, to me, was the equivalent of stopping drinking. But it's pretty uncomfortable living on a concrete slab. It is, isn't it? I didn't think of that, huh? We gotta put like beds and shit in here. I'm protected and exposed in the heat and cold, wind and rain. So I built a room on the slab by starting to practice the program. The first room was rickety because I wasn't used to the work. But as time passed, I practiced the program. I learned to build better rooms. The more I practiced, the more I built, the more comfortable and happy was the home I now have to live in. Wow, I've never looked at it that way. How my rooms were pretty rickety. I think I should go back and work on my first rooms, man. But I love the way that was described. That was fantastic. So that means it's going to get better and better and better, right? But don't skimp on your foundation. Don't do that. All right, guys. Have a great day. I will see you Monday for daily reflection. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for being here. Love you. Peace out and have a day. Bye, guys and gals.